This hangout on air is live, so it says right there on my screen, but you can't see it. Welcome to Retro Roleplaying, where we play through old school games, some new school games, and some games that are currently being playtested, like the one we're going to run tonight. This is Eldritch Tales, since it's a playtest document. It doesn't have a fancy cover right now. Hold on. iPad, go away. There you go. Oh, you can't read it anyway because it's an iPad and it sucks and it hates you. Ugh. Okay. Anyway, Eldritch Tales, the Lovecraftian white box role-playing. This is by Raven God Games, and we've had this for a while, but we've been super busy with other things and have been unable to test it until now. And I'm super excited to run this game because I really like the white box system and all the things that it does, but I also really like Cthulhu and H.P. Lovecraft's writings, so this is super exciting. We are going to be playing this for the next several months until the Pathfinder 2.0 playtest comes out, and then we will be running through that and the Temple of Elemental Evil, because for whatever reason I wanted to run a first edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons in the fork of Pathfinder. I don't know why. That's going to suck for me, but okay then. In the meantime, however, we will be running through this beauty. We have two of our players currently here, Nolan and Zach. Say hello.
Hey. Hello.
That was very enthusiastic. Thank you. The last time we played a Cthulhu game was Cthulhu Hack, and I believe that was sometime last year. And they played the characters Jack Hart and Jack Talent, respectively. They named their characters, not knowing each of them was going to be named Jack. So we had the two Jacks. Fortunately, during our play of the Cthulhu Hack, the two Jacks went off on their own and did some stuff and kind of met up with the rest of the group a little bit later. But we can play with them until possibly a couple of other players should be showing up. Theoretically, we shall see. So we are going to start with the Jacks, and is a quick summary as to what happened last time. So our party of individuals were either family members or acquaintances of one detective named Colin Murphy in the town of Riverton, which was a suburb of New York City. It was a port town, and he had recently died, passed on. They were gathering together to read his last will and testament and a personal letter addressed to his family and friends. Jack Talent missed the initial reading and approached his home when the rest of our party was ransacking Detective Murphy's house to look for clues of the things that were in his letter. So his letter talked about a number of instances and events in the town. I believe there were some disappearances mentioned and some other really sketchy things, and said that the town philanthropist Silas Morn was more than he seemed to be, and that he should be investigated. But I believe there was information dropped that his chief of police told him that he was no longer on the case to investigate Silas and that he should stop. Jack Hart was a private investigator who is played by Nolan, and Jack Talent is an ex-soldier who fought in World War I. They all, for some reason, or they ended up finding a file that Detective Murphy had hidden underneath a mattress, I believe, that had bits of his investigation going. And they found a matchbox that had the name of a speakeasy, and they went to go investigate. The Jacks found a individual in the speakeasy that had a tattoo of numbers 51745 on his neck, which also happened to be numbers that were printed on the side of a key that Detective Murphy left to the party. They followed the individual, who they ended up finding in an alley, and when they went to approach him, he fell over and the top portion of his head fell off. His brains rolled out into the alley, and they suffered some major trauma from that. Jack Talent passed out. Jack Hart was seeing things for a while, and they returned to the rest of their party, who were led to a room in an opioid den. And they were talking to a lady behind an Asian-style screen that was illuminated from behind, so you could only see her silhouette. and we will pick off from that point. So you guys are in a room with your other party members, Melvin Stone and Donald Anders, who have been smoking opiates. Not very successfully, if I recall. Melvin Stone is a scholar who also apparently was a bodybuilder, as he rolled a 17 for his strength the last time, but was a scholar, so that was kind of weird. And then the other person was a bartender in a different speakeasy in New York, and his name was Donald Anders, if I didn't already mention that. So they're a little out of sorts at the moment, while the two of you are recently coming off of your fright. So let us begin. Once again, the name of the lady was Shunsi, and you found the wallet of the man who you found in the alleyway, whose name was Guy Florence. So to describe your room a little bit more, you guys were in a room that was painted yellow, and not just the paint, but everything seems to be the color of amber glass or gold brass fittings, so that the room itself kind of feels this warm reflection of everything around you. It is now filled with the smoke of opium as you are hanging out in this room full of opiates. You can feel it start to affect your brain mildly as you walk into the room. You were led into this room by a small Asian man whose gaiters made no noise as he walked on the floor. The room itself is dimly lit. There is one lamp in the room hanging from the ceiling, and there is the light that is coming from the other side of the screen that is casting the shadow of the Mistress Shunsi. And she has answered some of your questions, not really, to be honest, of Silence Morn and Colin Murphy. So what do you do?
So we have Guy's wallet.
You did have his wallet, yes.
And we went through it and we didn't find anything.
You found stuff. I'm trying to remember what it was now. I don't believe you found any money, but you did find a street address. I believe that was 51 745th Street.
And we haven't been there yet?
No.
Seems like we should go there.
Agreed. It's better than just standing around here waiting for something to fall into our laps again. Ugh.
We could smoke some more opium first.
While you're getting stoned off of opiates.
It's not totally useless being here. We're getting high for free.
Well, that's not my my bang, so...
Yeah, we should get going before we are too compromised.
Yeah, we should go before we're useless.
Okay. We agreed to go to the address.
Okay, hold on. I'm getting really choppy reception here. I'm going to try and turn down my bandwidth a little bit more. Hopefully speed things up a little bit. Okay. Okay, so you go to the address. Or you're trying to go to the address. Okay. So I don't remember what time of day I said it was initially, because I didn't get to that part in the broadcast. I watched it a couple of times, but it's been a bit. So it's starting to be late dusk when you guys walk out of the speakeasy. The streets are emptying of people. There are street lamps that are on. The mist is rolling in from the river. So the streets are getting darker and more treacherous. What do you decide to do? Do you wish to continue to find 51 745th Street, or do you intend to turn in to Colin Murphy's house for the night, or do something else? You can go and investigate. You guys aren't super far away.
I say we continue on.
Agreed.
Okay.
Just a little bit of inclement weather.
That's what they all say. Okie dokie. Saving throws. Okay. Sorry, I'm checking up on a few of these rules. While I have read through the rulebook, it has not been committed to memory, so I am making sure that I am doing things that I need to be doing. Okay, cool. Okay, so you guys begin your walk through the clammy night. As you said, the fog was rolling in, and as you continue to walk down these streets, the night gets darker quickly, and you begin to feel the moisture kind of prickling at your skin. So you feel really damp as you're walking along. That smell of damp road and fresh mud and excrement on the roads back then fills your nostrils as you walk along. You hear the normal sounds of the city during the night. I pushed a button again. I hate it when I do that. And periodically you'll see a police officer along the street. They kind of give you a bit of a glare, but since you two seem to be upright folk, they leave you be for the most part. A few of them will advise you that it's dangerous out at night and that you should go home, that there have been a number of disappearances, and that you need to be very careful. I don't know. Were either of you armed? I don't remember.
I have a revolver.
So, Mr. Talent, were you armed? You both had a revolver?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So you continue your journey, and you end up coming to a small, what looks like to be a shack. It's kind of run down. The front stoop is a little crooked as you walk up. The boards seem to... Oh, hey, Tim is here. The boards flex a little much as you guys walk up to this house. And the floorboards definitely creak. There is no light on as you approach the door, so it's all just dark. You can see the roof itself also is starting to kind of sag in, but it is number 51 on 745th Street. Also, welcome Tim, who is another one of our players who is playing Melvin Stone the Scholar. Are you still playing Melvin, or are you playing another character?
I am, but I did it according to the Eldritch Tales rules, so he's actually an antiquarian.
That's cool. No, it's good. You should have done that. So good job. All right. And as you guys are approaching this house, you hear the footsteps of somebody coming up from behind you. And they're fairly rapid.
Go for the gun slowly.
Yes, I'll prepare for an attack.
Okay. Okay, as the figure approaches from the street, you only kind of, since it's also really foggy, the lamps don't really illuminate who it is. So you just see a dark shadow that kind of approaches where you're at and slowly begins to move towards you, but hasn't said anything yet.
Hello?
Huh?
Hello? Who's there? I want to say
Melvin
something.
Stone. Melvin Stone, do you answer?
Am I being introduced?
You've been introduced. Playing the same characters you did last time, but you caught up to them. So they were in the same yellow room that you were in with Donald Anders, with the weird girl behind the screen who just seemed to move in a very ethereal way.
Very golden child.
Yes, actually.
One of us being happy then.
Great movie. And the Jacks ended up leaving, and you followed them, but were several minutes behind them and couldn't catch up to them. But you have now. So you choose to approach them unannounced.
What did I miss? What's going on?
You guys hear the voice of your compatriot Melvin Stone.
Melvin, don't sneak up on us like that.
Sorry, it's a little hard to see.
Damn well say that twice.
Don't you know I'm packing?
Okay. So are standing on the front porch, and in this case, of the house, 51 745th Street. There, as I was describing, the house is very dilapidated. The front door is before you, and the house is dark. And it's probably about 10 o'clock at night, we'll say.
Hard to say if anybody actually lives there, huh?
Should we knock?
This time of night? I don't know. Why not?
All right. I'll knock on the door.
Okay, well, I'll stand here in the back because I have a personal credo against knocking on people's doors after 8 p.m.
Nice. He's like, I'm going to stand back here. Okay, you knock on the door, and you get no answer. You don't hear any movement, no lights turn on.
I'll try the door handle.
Okay. The door handle jiggles and it appears to turn, but the door does not open.
I'll put my shoulder into it.
Okay. Make me a strength test. What do they call them in this game? They say it's a save? No, it's not. Attack roll. Investigation. Is there a specific name for it? I don't remember it now. I need to read more. Anyway, make me a roll of strength. If I have any bonuses, go ahead and add them.
Natural 20.
Woo! Okay.
I explode the
So
door.
you explode the door. Yeah, you give it that old shoulder. I learned this trick in private investigator school, and the door gives way pretty easily. You just figure out that because the door has been painted so many times and that the weather is really humid, it was just a really sticky door. So you almost fall over as you stumble in. Yeah, it kind of was. So you kind of stumble in a bit as you take that. As you open the doors super successfully. The place that you enter into is oddly clean. The outside seems very run down, but the inside is very well maintained and taken care of. It looks like almost a brand new house on the inside. The plaster isn't even cracked on the walls. Everything seems to be very clean. The hardwood floors are nice and polished. The couches are very plush, but there is no light. It is a single-story home. So you've got your main entrance that you guys walk into, and it leads into a hallway. Off to your right is a sitting room where the aforementioned couches are and the fireplace. To the left, there appears to be a smaller room. That could be a coat room, what it appears to be initially. And you keep walking down the hall, and you see a number of other doors as you go. It looks like it opens up into a larger room in the back. But it's all pretty dark, so you can't really see too much of what's actually happening without, lighting a light.
Do I hear anybody coming yet after the ruckus I made?
You do not.
Well, which way should we go?
I don't know. Let's see. Closest door, I suppose.
So you want to go through a door, or are you investigating a doorway? Because I said there's a sitting room to your right as you walk in, and you don't see all of the sitting room when you walk in. So it's kind of opens up a little bit more. It's just a single doorway. There is no actual door on it. It's just an arched walk through. To the left, there also appears to be that in the smaller room, which you guys can kind of poke your head in and look around a bit. There is a door, but it doesn't look like it's big enough or that it leads into another area. It may or may not hold codes, whatever. So there's a small covering for that, and also a bench that you can sit on. Looks like you might be able to put your shoes on it. So there's that, and then there are 2 more doors on either side down the hallway before it gets to the bigger room toward the back.
Okay.
So you have 4 actual doors that are unopened, a big darkened room in the back door, and a sitting room immediately to your right, and then what appears to be a coat room or mud room to your left.
I'll check out the sitting room just to make sure.
Okay. Are you doing all of this in the dark? Or you guys have an electric torch or flashlights of any kind, which is the same thing? Or there's not a light switch. It is all lamps and wall sconces and things.
Let me see if anything's usable. Any of the lamps, at least.
Yeah, you can find a good oil lamp sitting by. It's very well maintained. It has brass knobs. Looks like it is a good clean porcelain as well.
Oh, let's light it.
Okay. So you guys light this nice oil lamp. The lamp sheds a fair amount of light, but it's still pretty dark, but it does cast a better image into this room, so it doesn't look all just dark grays. So you find this lamp on a side table next to one of the couches. The floor in between this kind of rectangular situation of sitting couches. There is a nice plush rug that is in Asian style, so it's has very intricate designs. The rug is mostly red with accents of gold, legitimate actual gold. It looks like too, not just a yellow color. It is a metallic thread that's woven through. So the light is reflected off of the floor to some degree. The fireplace you see also appears to be heavily gilded with various metals and crystals to help offset the design aesthetic, and also it bounces the light off of your lamp pretty easily. So now you've got this nice kind of rainbow effect in the room from the crystals that are hanging down from the I totally just forgot the name of the thing. Top bin on a fireplace.
Mantle?
That's the one. Good, jeez. Yeah, so we got crystals hanging down from the mantle, and the outside of this is gilded with various metals to just be really super fancy. There are a number of bookcases that line the walls. They are full of books. And there is a map, an old map that has been framed on the wall. Hanging from the ceiling is also a large chandelier. Not super large, it's not a huge vaulted ceiling or anything, but it's a pretty modest size for this room that would help illuminate it quite a lot. And by the front window, there is a window that lines the wall of the door. There is also a small table that has a number of other items on there. Small, it seems, trinkets, no pictures of any kind. There was a vase with flowers that are dead. And in this table, there are several drawers.
This is quite a nice appointed little space. You could definitely have some nice afternoon coffee in here.
I wish I could fit some of that stuff in my jacket.
What was that, Noel?
I wish I could fit some of that stuff in my jacket.
I wish I could fit some of that stuff in my own house. Or sell it. I could totally use a gilded mantle to sell right now, I'm not gonna lie. Pay off some of my student loans. All right, so what are you guys gonna do?
This was the sitting room, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So nobody's in here, though.
No.
Except for us.
There are no living...
There's only we are in this room, yes.
Yes, you are the only living things in this room.
That's not what I asked. Are there undead things in this room?
Oh yeah, there's 3 zombies playing poker.
Oh yeah, the zombies.
Yeah. Zombies playing poker. No, I said that there were dead flowers in the room.
Dead flowers. Well, okay. I guess there's nothing in here. Well, there's drawers and stuff, right?
Correct.
I'm gonna open them all.
And bookcases and some other stuff. Okay. So are you going to open the drawers and the table that's in front of the window, or the one where you guys found the lamp?
Yes, both of them, all of them.
Well, which first?
Yeah.
The closest one first.
Okay, fine. We'll default that to the window. Okay. So there are 3 drawers in this table that has the legs that kind of come down and bow out a little bit. You pull out the central drawer first and kind of rummage through it a bit, and you'll see a really nice fancy pair of brass-handled scissors. There is a notepad. There is an inkwell, a pen, but nothing else that you notice of any worth or anything like that. You pull out the drawer to the right. What?
I will take the scissors. Is there anything written on the notepad?
There is nothing written on the notepad that you can see.
Time to use some private investigating skills here, I see. I will take the pad.
Okay.
We'll have to investigate later, though.
And, you pull out the drawer to the right, and you will find a small sewing kit with a metal thimble. There is also... let's see what's in there. Scraps of newspaper. They look to be newspaper clippings. Some of them talk about World War I, and some of the newfangled weapons and some of the things that were happening during that time period. You pull out the drawer to the left, and that one appears to be empty.
I will also take the newspaper clippings.
Okay.
They seem clue-like. I take that. All right. What about the next set of drawers?
Okay, hold on a sec. I gotta write this down before I forget that I said all this stuff. Scissors. Use notepad. And Okey-dokey. Okay. In the side table to the where you found the lantern that you guys are currently using, you will pull that one out, and you will notice that there is a stack of old magazines. They are in sequential order. You will find a good 15 of them, and they will stop at. Did I give you an actual legitimate date that we were playing in? I don't think I did I? I just said it was something. What was that?
Nothing I remember.
Yeah, I just said it was like some ambiguous date in the 1920s. When I go 1924 is the year we're currently in, and we will say that it is May. Okay, so you're playing in May 1924, and the magazines that you find stop on October of 1920.
What?
October 1920 is the last one, and I said there were 15 magazines, and they're all sequentially dated up until that point.
Well, I guess someone's not paying their subscription. Or just no longer care for that periodical. What can I say? I'm trying to find anything in here that could indicate who the owner is.
No, you haven't seen anything like that. There are no pictures. You don't see any labels of any kind. The only picture you do see, as I said, is that map on the wall, the old-looking map. You guys have not checked the bookcases yet, but there doesn't appear to be any labeling of any kind.
What's the map of?
It is a map of the known geography of Africa.
Huh.
Although they're just, well, I don't know. What do you guys have? There were skills. I don't think there were actual skills.
I have geography.
Right. No, there are skills. Yeah. See, I thought there were skills. Seriously, play too many systems. We need to sit in one for a while. I keep confusing myself with all the stuff we've been doing lately. Okay. Yeah, make me a geography test, Tim.
All right. D20, right?
Correct.
I don't remember off the top of my head. I only glanced at the whole book once. All right.
It is a D20 system. So.
Well, what Tim can definitely tell us is that's Africa.
Okay. So I had to redraw this character for this system.
That's all right.
I'm actually fluent in 4 languages besides English.
Woo!
Yeah. This system, my character knows English, being a college professor, and then he's French, Italian, Greek, and Cantonese.
Wow, hardcore.
I know. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Helps having intelligence of 15.
Yeah, that does.
And being the kind of person that I am. The antiquarian gets an extra language, and then the kind of antiquarian I chose, a professor of social sciences, gets an extra language.
Nice.
Yeah. Oops. Okay. 19.
Woot. Okay. So as you stare at this map, you will notice that there are a number of locations on this map that do not seem to exist in reality. You don't recognize their names in any of the vast languages of which you know. And there are, we'll go with this one.
They're definitely familiar, huh?
Yeah, there are 4 cities labeled around the, I'm going to say the Ivory Coast. Hang on. Oh, wait, that one's not connected to the internet right now. Oh, crap. My iPad's down to 37% power. Not good. It's got my book on it. Hold on. Hold on. Yes, I do want to say the Ivory Coast. So there are 4 cities that you have never seen that are labeled on the Ivory Coast.
Are the names of them just like intelligible?
Sure. Make me look up names. Luckily, this time I loaded up the ever-changing book of names because I love this little program. And I'm very, very sad that it stopped being published in 2000. But it's got a lot of really fun stuff in it. We will go with Latin names. No, I don't want to do Latin. We're going to do this instead. We're going to go here. We are going to do this. We're going to generate. Okay. So the first one is Areli, Areli.
Oh, really?
The second city is Golindril, which is Gollendryl.
Spell that again.
Gollendryl.
Sounds like a cough medicine.
Sounds like
And then you
you're
have-
lean on a drill.
And then you have Lazier, which is Lazeer. And then you have Indel, Indel.
Well, all of these names on this map are just as much gobbledygook as anything else. If you say they're not right, I believe it.
None of these are names of places that I recognize, and the naming conventions are most peculiar.
Yeah, maybe they were named by somebody who wasn't from there. Who knows?
It's a possibility, but it's also entirely inconsistent with anything around the region.
Maybe it was named by someone stupid.
Or mad.
Could be both.
Possibly some drunkard.
No, aside from that, doesn't appear to be anything of too much interest in here. Suppose we're heading further into the spooky, not quite dilapidated house.
Indeed.
Another possibility is some sort of cryptogram. It might take me some time to discern its origins.
What now?
Okay.
Okay.
Do you dare enter the spooky old tree? No, I do not want to get that. Okay. So you guys entered into the sitting room in this house. There's the front door. That place. And it goes here. And there's the chimney. And then I said there were 2 doors on either side before it led into a larger back room. Okay. The rooms on the left appear like they are going to be smaller than the ones on the right. The sitting room is rather large by comparison to the mud room that you guys entered into. But the other two, or all those doors, are closed. None of them are hanging open. And once again, there are no lights on in this house that you guys are currently in. Nobody has come out to talk to you at all. But the house is impeccably maintained otherwise.
That's quite weird.
So, where do you intend to go first?
There's 2 doors on this side of the house, right?
There are 2 doors to the right and 2 doors to the left, yes. There is not a door from this sitting room into the room behind it. So you'll have to go back out into the hallway and walk down the hall.
Anyone have a preference which door we go through?
Not really. Door's a door.
Yeah. I say we enter the rightmost door. That should be the closest one, right?
Correct. Okay. So you approach this door, and you notice that right away the door has a window, small window, that has a covering on the other side.
Like a porthole?
Like a slide window.
It's unusual. And the covering's covering the window so we can't see in.
No.
Okay. I'll try the handle. And I'll draw my pistol.
Okay. The door will swing open. It's not even sticky. And you guys enter into what appears to be a study. The light spills into the room, and you will see a number of smaller bookcases than the one in the sitting room. And on top of these ones, you will see a bunch of taxidermy animals. There is a raven. There is what appears to be a small cat of some kind. It doesn't appear to be a domesticated animal. You will find a hare, not hare, as in a rabbit. And they all appear to be taxidermied in a position of fear. So they all look like they're, afraid of something. You will see a large desk next to a window. As you walk in, it's at the back of the room. It has a high-backed chair that sits on it. The desk itself is very ornate. It is decorated in an Asian style. So there's lots of inlaid wood of dragons and other things. Excuse me. There are brass accented fittings along the edges. There are a number of bookcases. There is. What else can you guys see? The bookcases don't appear to be just stuffed full of books. They have books on them, but there are other little bits and bobs mixed in, like there's a globe. There's little small crystal-y things that kind of just occupy these bookshelves. And that's it, really. There is a lamp on the desk. There's nobody in the room. It does appear to be fairly dusty when you walk in, enough that is collected on the floor.
So nobody's been in here in a while then?
That does not appear to be so, no.
Do the lights work?
This house does not have electricity of any kind. There's no wiring of any. It's all just wicks and. I mean, there's wall sconces and stuff, but you have to light in it's old school.
Okay.
Any unusual books? Not that I would know. I'll ask Tim. Scared.
Melvin.
Melvin, yes.
What was that?
That
Are there
guy.
any unusual books in here?
Well, you're a private investigator. It's not like you wouldn't know. This whole place seems to be unusual to you. You know, it looks like a broken down house. Then all of a sudden you walk in, and this place is like pretty much immaculately clean, except for this room that you guys just walked into. But having investigated other people before, you would know what is common and not common in a normal house.
So anything uncommon then?
The amount of books in general seem to be uncommon for a house in this place. So whoever lived here, you could deduce, you know, I'm not giving you any other information you probably wouldn't learn yourself, appears to be highly educated. Most of the books that you guys have noticed as you've been looking around are on natural history and geography.
Oh, good.
Well, I guess you can take whatever you want.
I'm not much for theft, so I will look with my eyes and not with my hands.
Okay. On to the next room then. Have we checked all the drawers in here or anything?
No,
Well,
we have not investigated it. Okay, so you walk over to the desk, and you will see that on the desk there's another pot of ink. This one, even in the light of the lantern, you can see is a green ink. It doesn't even look black in the pot. It looks very green. The pot itself is a kind of carved into and cross hatches into the glass of the pot, and on top of the pot is a silver dragon. That's the stopper. Excuse me. The paper that's laid out for writing is somewhat larger than normal. It looks more like a legal sized pad of paper rather than a normal letter that you would send. Excuse me again. As you pull the main drawer out on the top, you will see just a bits of stuff for cleaning pens. You'll see a few old pens. Most of it's just pen care. The top drawers to the left and the right appear to don't have that much stuff in there either. It's mostly just junk as you dig through it. Once again, another sewing kit, and there's some more just bits and bobs that you would find around a normal house. Stray buttons, things like that. There is no lower drawer to the right, but there is one to the left. And this one is just chock full of papers.
What is written on the papers? Anything?
Yeah, you'll pull a few out, and one of them you find appears to be a treatise on silverback gorillas.
Doesn't seem that unusual for this house, even though the house seems unusual. Right?
Peculiar color for the ink.
Yes. I will take a sample page.
Okay. Do you want to take the one with the gorillas that you were looking at, or do you want to take a separate page?
The gorillas one, I guess. Unless there's something else weird on one of the other pages.
I don't know, how much do you want to look at? I mean, are you pulling the whole thing out, or because it's?
Yeah, I'll pull them all out and just flip through it real quick and see if there's something weird.
Okay. With a quick scan, you might find something weird. Actually, roll me a die.
How secure is the stopper on the ink little flask?
It's not.
I do not notice.
Okay.
I think I want to take that back for examination.
Okay.
This green ink is weird.
Do you want me to hand the stack of papers to Tim, or
Uh-oh.
is that what he wants?
Okay, we're still good. Sorry, I thought I was dropping out for a second. Okay. You can carry it with you but you can't like put it in your pocket or anything. That stopper is going to come off. But if you like kind of hold it, not like tightly, but if you hold it upright and carefully, the stopper won't like jar loose or anything.
Wouldn't hurt. It's a good idea.
No, you can take it if you want.
I'll take it.
Okay, Mr. I Don't Steal.
And I'll tell Melvin about these papers and then just move on to the next thing.
Okay. So Jack hands you a stack of papers. It's about 40. And the front page says gorillas and their cousins found near the city of Lazir.
I'm writing something down. Hold on.
That's fine. I figured.
Interesting. I would definitely like to spend a little bit of time poring over these if you gentlemen don't mind. It would take a couple of days, but we might come up with something.
Sure. I'll just move on. Is there anything else to check in this room?
Not unless you want to pore over all the spines and take a look in all the little nooks and crannies.
Oh, no. There's plenty of other stuff to do. I'll move to the next closest room and try the door to that.
Okay. As you move closer down the hallway, the light from your lantern will spill into the back room, and you can kind of see more of what it is. It does not appear to be a kitchen of any kind, but it's a room for entertaining. You walk into the next room after this one. What was that?
Is there like a phonograph or something?
Yeah, actually, you'll see one in the back, and even though there are mirrors in between, or mirrors, yes, there are mirrors, which I was getting to, even though there are windows, which is what I wanted to say, there are mirrors in between there, so you could see if you were, having a dance or a ball of any kind, you can, watch yourself. It's vanity. So you walk into the next room, and this one will have another old school actual phonograph sitting up in the corner when you first walk in. And there also appears to be a number of music stands and several instruments kind of scattered around the room. Ooh, does that feel weird?
Anything else?
Not that you can. What was that?
I mean, that's all nice, but I don't see how any of this is useful.
Me neither. Are there any cabinets or anything to rummage through?
No, there are some pages of music scattered on the floor.
Oh.
But other than, what was that?
I'll gather up the fallen pages.
Okay.
It should maybe.
You can. It is the Blue Danube.
Huh?
But other than that, this room appears to be empty.
Okay, I'll put the pages on one of the stands and leave.
Okay.
Go to the next room.
So do you decide to go across the hall into that big main room in the back, or you have two more doors that you need to check on the left side of the room and then the mud room if you decide you want to investigate that one?
Let's do the two small rooms first.
Okay. So you walk into the room that is across directly from you in this one, and this door is decorated with carvings that are floral in design. The rest, or the other door, of the room you just left, was clean. There's nothing on it. This one is highly decorated, said with floral patterns, very intricately carved. And when you open it, you will see it is a child's room with no child in it. But there is a small bed to one side with a canopy. It appears to have been a room for a small girl. There are dolls lovingly placed on clean sheets. The room is not dusty at all. There are toys and things in this room, like a wooden horse and some other stuff. There's a small bookcase with what appear to be children's books. As you guys walk in, there is a warm and plush rug underneath your feet as you walk in. A small closet holds a number of very frilly garments with lace and puffy sleeves.
Anything in my size?
No, there is no puffy dresses in your size.
My character's a little bit more creeped out by the fact that this room is not dusty.
Well, you guys have only come across one room that is dusty. Every other room in this house you've been into is immaculately kept, aside from the sheets of music being on the floor.
I thought the study was kind of dusty.
The study was dusty. That was the only one that was dusty.
Okay.
Hmm. Okay, well, it doesn't seem like there's anything out of the ordinary here.
No, not really.
What was that?
Unpleasant, but nothing of note, I suppose.
Okay, so you guys want to check the room to your left?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. This is an indoor bathroom. It has a rather large vanity mirror hanging on the wall with a small vanity in it. There's an indoor toilet that appears to be functioning. And there is a clawfoot tub.
Wow, quite fancy.
Well, I guess there's only one door left, the one in the mudroom thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll watch this be like the secret dungeon doorway.
The secret dungeon, yeah. Okay, so the next person who goes into the mudroom and checks it, they will find a series of coats hanging in that door in the mudroom. And there are boots on the ground. There is one pair of old, muddy boots. The rest of them are clean.
All right, let's open that door.
It is not fresh mud. Well, that's what I said. Inside this door, the closet.
Nothing in the back of the closet? No secret door?
No.
Bummer.
They're also not, rolling and searching and doing that kind of stuff.
Well, I roll a search.
How long do you want to spend searching?
I don't know.
How far away is the room with the sheet music on the floor?
It's not that far. It's like a 10-foot hallway. No, it's not. No, it's a 10-foot hallway. What am I saying? Hold on. It's about 60 feet away.
Oh, that's considerable. Never mind.
Well, the sitting room is rather large, and then the study is about 15 feet across, and then the next room, is probably about the same size.
Okay. Can I take a look at the mud on the shoes for boots?
Sorry, the muddy boots?
Yeah.
Yeah, give me a sec. I'm trying to find what they do for searching in this game. If it's a D20 roll, if it's the D6, like other white box games. But I'm not finding it right now. Adversaries and monsters. Going a little too far.
I want to see if there's a way my character could possibly recognize the dirt on the loot.
Possibly. What other skills and things do you have?
Archaeology, anthropology, history, geography, writing, research, and persuasion.
No. But if you took a sample with you, you might be able to appeal to someone who can.
I could use one of my contacts.
You could.
We'd have to travel, though.
You would, yes. Yeah, I'm having a hard time finding this. This is why I should have printed it out, but I'm running out of ink and paper. Classes, think they're a researcher, linguist, combatant, opportunist, socialite, generator, insanity, mythos, using contacts, equipment, missile weapons, occupations. There's experience, there's time, there's movement, assistance, investigations. There we go. Jeez. Players should consider all the following. And that's all it says on that. All right. Well, we will have you roll a d6.
The 6?
No one.
Sorry, what's going on?
You were wanting to search for a door, right?
I was indeed.
Yeah, roll me a d6.
A D6.
Correct.
1.
Oh, look at that. If there was a door to find, you would find it, but you did not, because there isn't.
Yay!
All of that just for me to figure out if that was the case. All right. 10. If you want to take a sample of the dirt, as I said, you are able to do so.
I will.
Well, I guess you probably have a pocket handkerchief, and being a gentleman.
Yep.
So if you want to pull that out and keep a little bit in there, you can tuck that away.
Yep, I'll do it.
Okay. The only room you guys have left to investigate is the one in the far back that had the mirrors.
And what
So what's the plan? Okay. Okay, so you guys walk into this back room, and your initial impression on entering this home was how just fancy the room was, or the floors were, how slick and shiny. But they are nothing compared to the floor in this room. I mean, they are almost like near finished shiny. These wooden floorboards. The one side of the wall that has several windows and the mirrors in between is reflected against the wall in which you enter into, which also has panels of mirrors that are opposite of the ones on the far wall. And in between each of those is a painted fresco. Excuse me. That also has gilding for any of the metals that appear in the picture itself. There are There are 4 of them painted, and they appear to be pictures of a creation scenario and an apocalyptic scenario. So you have the initial creation, but it doesn't appear to be the picture of a deity that you would recognize. But there does appear to be a celestial presence of some kind that is creating a world. In the next fresco, there is the depiction of humanoids worshiping this particular individual. In the third fresco, you will see these worshiping individuals being tortured in what appears to be some kind of eternal punishment. And then in the fourth picture is what appears to be a advanced reflection of the first one. So it is a new world being created.
Well, that's creepy.
Is there anything behind the paintings?
There does not appear to be the paintings, no.
I mean, the frescoes, they're part of the wall if they're frescoes. Right?
Yeah. Correct. So they're painted into the plaster on the wall.
Right.
The around the outside of the floor, there are a number of chairs, and there are rugs that line underneath all the chairs. The rugs are also the same kind of red and gold that you saw in the sitting room. And this room is about, we'll say, 40 feet back, and it runs the rest of the length of the house, which is another, we'll say, is 40 feet enough for that? Doesn't sound right. Say the house is about 60 feet across. So you have 60 feet across and 40 feet back.
All right. Okay.
Is there anything in the middle of the floor?
There is, as you guys walk in and then you're kind of looking around with this light, you'll see on the floor a symbol that you guys saw before in the speakeasy on some of those yellow bottles, and on a notice for a play that is coming up soon. Hold on a sec.
What's the symbol look like?
Hang on, I'm gotta look it up.
I have two written down from last time, so I want to see if it's the same one as either of the ones I have.
Right. It looks like it has a question mark on the top.
Ah, I've seen it.
That one. Wonderful.
Have you seen the yellow sign?
Don't do. I froze for a second. Anyway, it's that one.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's some interesting scribbledygook.
And that is expertly inlaid with a yellow wood on the floor.
All of that. Let me take a couple of moments to look through these papers on gorillas and see if I recognize anything.
Gonna take a moment in this room, or are you gonna go back to your base, or?
Well, I'll give them a more thorough look back at base, but I'm just gonna thumb through them real quick. See if there's any connection there.
Okay. What's everyone else doing?
I'm searching the room still.
Okay. Are you looking for anything specific?
See if I can match the symbols to the gorillas. If there's anything among the papers that have the symbols on them.
Okay. Nolan?
Any secret doors or compartments or anything out of the ordinary aside from the creepy fresco. All the players know that.
How long do you want to spend looking?
I don't know until he's done perusing. Half an hour maybe.
You guys have been in the house probably a good hour and a half at this point, searching all these rooms.
This is the most weird room, so I'm going to spend some time looking at it.
Okay. You guys, it's about midnight-ish, we'll say. Okay. So is that, an hour or 2 hours less?
Half an hour.
Half an hour. Okay. Give me a
Is
second.
that weird to calculate?
N-
An hour, I guess? I don't know.
No, it's fine. I was, vengeance. Indeed. Okay. All right. So, okay. Are you 10 foot by 10 foot squares? That's all right. Okay, this would be better if we had a map that we could all point out and say, I'm searching this. Okay. Make me 3d6 checks.
Who?
Nolan.
I got a 1.
Jack Hart. A 1?
A 1, a 4, and a 6.
Okay. The first section of chairs you find, you walk over. It's just some random direction you decided to choose, and you're looking at this section of chairs that's along the middle fresco kind of one. There's 4, so it's not really middle, but the one off to your right as you enter the room, we'll say. So the nearest one. You start picking up chairs and moving around. You're looking at the carpet, and you notice that actually the carpet kind of puckers up a little at one point, and the chairs are a little uneven where the rest of them appear to line up perfectly.
Okay, I'll flip back the carpet then.
Okay, you will see that there is a small ring that has been kind of inset into the floor. It's metal.
I think it would be reasonable to conclude that we have found a trap door.
I don't know. You guys can't see any break in the floor where this ring is. It just looks like, although the ring is stuck to the floor, there just, it's not like there's an outline of a door. It just looks like there's this random ring like stuck into the ground.
Well, that's familiar for a very different reason, I'd imagine. Being a World War II vet, I've probably seen my fair share of prisons during World War I.
Yes.
Looks like it might be an anchoring for a chain. Nick?
Are there any others like it around the other chairs?
I don't know. How long do you guys want to spend peeling up all the chairs?
Well, the room's not that big.
Doesn't take that long.
Yeah, I would think it would only take maybe a minute or two.
No, it'd take a lot longer than that. It's a 60 by 40 room, It wouldn't
care about the chairs.
Right. If you guys just peel up all the chairs and roll up all the rugs and make a crap load of noise, then you're fine. You will find 2 more rings. I was going to say one in the far corners. So at the ends of the house, which would be in the very far back of the room as you're staring at it when you guys walked in. In the very corners, you'll find 2 more of these rings set into the ground.
Hmm. All right. I think we've seen enough here. We should probably take a look at these papers.
All right.
Yeah, this is more than unpleasant.
Okay, so you guys... What?
Let me get this right. These metal rings in the floors were doors?
I don't know. Did you tug on them when you found them, or did you just...
I'll tug on one and see what happens.
It's firmly stuck to the ground. I mean, you can pull the ring up, but you yank on it and it doesn't go anywhere.
Does this ring look like it would restrain somebody? Like, are there chains around?
There are no chains visible that you can find.
I don't like this. Is there a blood-drenched sacrificial altar anywhere in the room?
Well, guys, I really think we should check the papers out because they're researching gorillas in a city whose name I've never heard of before and don't recognize as part of the country.
Well, do you want to go back?
Anything that we should be looking up, it should be that.
Should we try to go back at midnight to the dead guy's house?
Well, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning now, kind of at this point. You guys have been searching this back room. It's for about 45 minutes-ish, so it's 12:45. It'll take a while for you to walk back to Colin Murphy's house, but people know you're kind of there for a reason. However, by the time you get there, it's probably going to take you a couple hours. So it's going to be 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning by the time you get there.
Is there any place closer we could stay?
There are hotels and things along the way if you guys want to stop by.
We could do that.
No, I say we head back to Murphy's. Free is always the best price.
True.
Sleep would be a good idea.
It's quite late.
Okay, so here's something that I can do. It's a class skill of mine. Researcher, when presented with some difficult question or impossible mystery that he cannot immediately solve, the antiquarian can usually find an answer or clue to help the investigation. The antiquarian takes a minimum of 1d3 days to investigate the matter, visiting libraries, interviewing associates, collecting witness accounts, and poring over dusty tomes, after which the referee can share whatever information he deems appropriate.
Cool. Okay, so what's your next immediate action before you begin investigating? So are you guys going to go back to Murphy's? Are you going to go collect Donald Anders and just leave him in his opiate? So just goodness.
And again, he's probably nice and baked at this point.
Yeah. You might have stumbled home. Who knows? So what's the plan?
We're heading back to the place.
Murphy's?
Yes.
Yes.
Good old Murph. All right. Okay, so you guys will make it through the streets pretty okay. You do get stopped at one point by an officer who asks you what you're doing so out so late at night. But you give him a quick explanation that you were out celebrating the passing of Detective Murphy, and he was actually a police associate of Murphy's, so he buys your story and lets you go. And you reach the detective's home without issue, and you walk inside, and it's just as you left it.
Well, I'm obviously getting some damn sleep.
All right, so is that it? What everybody's doing? They're all going to sleep?
It'd be a good idea. We could focus on it a little bit more with fresh minds.
Soldier boy with no rest is no use.
Boy, is that ever true. Okay. So you guys prep for bed for the night. Speaking of, it is only 10:45 my time, but I know it's later for the rest of you who are in Mountain Time or later. So do we want to call it tonight? You guys got a whole bunch more information, or do we want to go for a little bit longer?
It's good. It's almost midnight for me, so
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a lot to go over. We found a bunch of stuff, so.
And clearly the DM needs to actually write that material.
Yes, and there's that, because I made up a crap load of this stuff on the fly, so now I have to figure out how to tie it back into what I was doing before. Well, thanks for hanging out with us. This has been Retro Roleplaying, and we are playing Eldritch Tales. So far, we haven't really gotten too much into how the system is actually running, but next time we'll be doing a whole lot more. This time was more, I think, for us to kind of get caught up with the story and what we were doing, because that was like 5 or 6 months ago, the last time we played this storyline. So we are caught up. We have a bunch of new stuff for us to mull over and think about, and hopefully you guys will join us again next month as we explore Eldritch Tales by Raven God Games. I'm super excited to really dig into the system over the next few months before we get to Pathfinder 2.0, because we've been sitting on this playtest for a long time, as I said earlier, and it's just been a whole lot of fun to read and to look at. So we will dig into the meat of the system more this next time. But thanks for watching. As always, happy gaming. Good night.